Hey everybody, I hope you're well and safe at home. It's Mr. Crone. You probably guessed that by looking at my face and hearing my voice. We are starting another week of online learning. This week we're going to be talking about animals and some of the ways that they are grouped and some of the ways that they survive in the wild. We're going to start off today by talking about vertebrates and invertebrates. That'll be the first page on your packet as well. So here we go. Vertebrates and invertebrates, classifying animals. Our essential question today is, what is the difference between vertebrates and non-vertebrates? These are both kind of big words. You can use some of your prior knowledge about prefixes, vertebrates and non-vertebrates. The prefix non means not. So vertebrates and not vertebrates. Your objective, by the end of this lesson, you will be able to identify the traits of vertebrates and compare and contrast vertebrates and invertebrates. So you're going to be able to identify the traits of vertebrates and compare and contrast vertebrates and invertebrates. Starting off, let's engage. Get our brains thinking in the right direction. You're going to sort the school supplies into two categories. Circle the supplies in the same category with the same color. Be ready to explain your categories. So I want you to, if you haven't yet, get a pencil and a paper, pause the video, and I want you to start thinking of ways you could group these school supplies. A group just means they have something in common. So if you are on Nearpod, you can do it on the screen. Otherwise, just write down the words in your group. So I'm going to start with blue. And I'm going to circle based on color. So all the blue things, these two right here, I'm going to say are in one group. This is in a group. Paperclip. These two are in a group. Group. This pencil's in a group. Anything that's blue, I'm going to put in the blue group. Well, I can see another group I'm going to do. I'm going to do this one red. I noticed that these are all kind of long and skinny. So I'm going to make another group. Long and skinny, long and skinny, long and skinny, long and skinny. And there's more ways you could even sort these things. So that's just a couple ideas of how you might sort these school supplies. Like I said, please write yours down on a piece of paper if you're not doing the Nearpod lesson. So how did you group the school supplies? Why might it be useful to group supplies? What ways might scientists group organisms? And what groups can you think of in the animal kingdom? So I want you to take a second, find somebody in your house, or a pet, or a stuffed animal, or toy, and explain your thinking. Why might it be useful to group supplies? First off, how did you group the school supplies? What ways might scientists group organisms, and what groups can you think of? So pause the video. Welcome back. Well, we obviously saw that I group supplies by color and by size. Why might it be useful to group supplies? Well, I was thinking in my classroom, I group all the colored pencils in one bin, all the glue in another bin, all the scissors in another bin, etc. And that helps me find them really easily. I can get exactly what I want when we got projects to do, that kind of thing. What ways might scientists group organisms? I'm kind of interested to hear what you guys thought. I thought about, well, we group organisms by species. So zebras are a species, dogs are a species, birds. So that's maybe a way scientists group organisms. I also thought about mammals. Remember we said mammals have live births and feed their young. The moms feed their young with milk. So you might say mammals and non-mammals are groups. There's more groups you can think of. So as we're starting to think about scientists grouping and what they're grouping, we're going to do some exploring. Vertebrates or invertebrates. On the next few slides, you're going to see some skeletons of different organisms. See if you can group the pictures into two groups. So based on the skeletons alone, see if you can kind of come up with two groups to put these animals into. I'm going to give you a hint. The groups are going to be vertebrates and invertebrates. Okay, here we go. The first one is a dog. Looking at the skeleton, there's some familiar features that you probably have seen before. There's a rib cage. There's the tailbone. You can see some feet. I want you to notice right here. We have this thing that is part of the central nervous system. I hope you guys remember what that's called. It controls the reflexes. Oh yeah, a spinal cord. So you can notice a spinal cord. That's a familiar skeletal part of the skeleton system. That's connected to the brain of the dog. Next, we have a fish. Again, some recognizable features. You've got the tail. You've got some fins. You've got the jawbone right here. I hope that you can also see the central nervous system again with a spinal cord that controls the reflexes right here. So just like the dog, it has a spinal cord. Now this is interesting, a worm. Worm is a little bit harder to make out. I don't really see any bones. I do see kind of these like little sections. They're almost their own individual pod of some sort. But I don't see any like arm bones. I don't see any spinal cord. I don't see any skeleton. I don't see any skull. Interesting. Next we have a chicken. Some familiar things. Feet, just like a dog. You can see where the wings are attached. Kind of little tailbone up here. You got the skull right up here. And once again, this chicken has a backbone. Part of the spinal cord, part of the central nervous system. So just like the dog and the fish. Interesting. Here is a sea star, or sometimes you call them starfish. Sometimes we think that maybe they're plants, but they're actually a living thing, a animal. You can see that they have a mouth on the bottom. You can see their teeth. You can see kind of like the worm. There's no real like skeleton. It's just hard skin. Interesting. So there's no backbone. Just kind of a hard pod around its mouth. Huh. And lastly, we have an octopus. So this, you can see the organs like the brain right here, its stomach or its digestive glands. It's got another stomach up here. It's got its kidney, its heart. But I noticed there are no bones. I don't see a like hard skull protecting its brain. I don't see any bones for the tentacles. I don't see any bones for the backbone. It's got no real hard skeleton. It's really got no, like, it doesn't have the central nervous system like we see in the dog, chicken, and fish. Interesting. So I want you to take a second, pause the video, and write down which animals you would group together and why. If you're doing this with brother or sister, or if you're talking to your pet, say it in words first and then write it down. When you're finished, start the video again. Welcome back. I'm sure all of you definitely wrote down your answers. How would you group the animals? Well, I was thinking one thing that I noticed in half the animals but not in the other was that spinal cord or the backbone. I saw the dog had a backbone. I saw the chicken had a backbone. I saw the fish had a backbone. But I also saw that the worm didn't have a backbone. The octopus didn't have a backbone. And the sea star didn't have a backbone. So I would group them. I'm going to put a text box right here. I would put the dog, chicken, and fish in a group because they all have a backbone. And then I'm going to put a different color for the next one. Or maybe I have to do the same color for all of them. And then move down here so we can see it better. And I would put the sea star, octopus, and worm in a group because they do not have a backbone. Maybe you grouped yours different. That's fine. Send me what you wrote down so I could see what you were thinking. I love it when you disagree with me, remember? That means your brains are working. All right, so let's explain what we observed. So you're going to watch a cool video. I want you to pay attention to the 5 categories of vertebrates and then what is different about vertebrates and invertebrates. So what are the 5 categories of vertebrates and what's different about vertebrates and invertebrates? Here we go. Better make sure my volume's on.
Hello, friends. Today we'll learn about vertebrate and invertebrate animals. Vertebrates are animals that have a special column or backbone. There are about 62,000 species that belong to this group.
So vertebrates have a backbone, just like we saw with the chicken, dog, and fish.
Characteristics of vertebrate animals include they have muscles and skeletons. They also have an endoskeleton. All vertebrates have some or all of these systems: skeletal system, muscular system, excretory system, nervous system, and immune system. Whoa! Let's see some of the vertebrate animals. Reptiles. They are cold-blooded animals, meaning their body temperature changes along with the external temperature.
So all reptiles are vertebrates. That means they have backbones. That's one of the groups.
Wow! Reptiles lay eggs, and their skin is usually covered with dry and hard scales. This species include alligators, turtles, crocodiles, snakes, and lizards. Fish. They have gills that allow them to breathe underwater. For examples of fish include the white shark, this large swordfish, and this venomous marine fish, lionfish. Birds.
Reptiles, fish, now birds are a third group.
They have wings and they lay eggs. Most of the birds can fly. Some examples of bird species include the eagle, this flamingo with slender legs,
Beautiful.
this medium-sized diurnal birdhawk, this large flightless bird, ostrich. Mammals. They're warm-blooded animals, meaning they maintain a constant body temperature. They nurse their young with milk and have fur or hair. Some examples of mammals include humans, this aquatic mammal, dolphin, these tall giraffes, and lovely horses. Amphibians. Amphibians are cold-blooded animals. Some examples are frogs, tiny toads, and these newts. Now let's learn about the invertebrate animals. Invertebrates don't have a backbone.
What makes an invertebrate? They don't have a backbone. Good.
But they make up about 95% of all animal species.
That was wild to me. 95% of all animals in the whole world are invertebrates. But when I think of animals, I always think about mammals or birds or the kind that are vertebrates. But almost all animals are actually invertebrates. That's really interesting to me.
Invertebrates have 4 common characteristics. They don't have a backbone. They reproduce by 2 reproductive cells. They are multicellular. They have no cell walls. Some invertebrate animals are, these 8-legged arthropods, spiders, insects, worms, these star-shaped echinoderms, sea stars or starfish, snails, crabs, and these lobsters with hard shells.
So when I was watching that, I was thinking, well, now it kind of makes sense to me that most animals are invertebrates. When I'm out like on my lawn, I see way more insects, which are invertebrates, than I do vertebrate animals like birds or squirrels, that kind of thing. So maybe since there's so many bugs and other insects and worms that even we can't even see, they're so small, maybe that's why there's so many invertebrate animals. So just thought.
Now, you know a lot about vertebrate and invertebrate animals. Please drop a like, leave a comment.
All right. Now they're just begging for likes. Vertebrate animals, remember, are any animal with a backbone. The purpose of the backbone is to protect the spinal cord and support skeletal structures. So you see a lion has a backbone. Fish, I think the catfish has a backbone. The shark has a backbone. Even these maybe sea cucumbers or sea slugs have backbones. Remember, we already talked about when we talked about the nervous system, that backbone protects your spinal cord, which is what controls your reflexes and sends information to your brain. Very important. If you remember from the video, the 5 groups of vertebrates are mammals, like humans and dogs and tigers, reptiles, like alligators, fish, like a sailfish, birds, like a robin, and amphibians, like a frog. So most of the animals that you think of when we think of animals are vertebrates. But remember, they only make up about 5% of all the animals in the world, which is super interesting. Invertebrates are the opposite, basically. They don't have a backbone. Some examples of invertebrates are starfish, worms, insects, and mollusks. Mollusks is a fancy way to say like an octopus or a squid. These are animals that don't have any skeletal system and instead just covered by kind of mushy skin and fat. Many of these animals have hard shells or rigid skin to protect their nervous system. So the snail has adapted to not having a backbone by using shells to protect its body. Many times, like when you step on a bug, you'll hear like a cracking sound. That's because bugs have this hard skin that protects their insides. So many invertebrates have either shells or hard, kind of firm skin to act as like almost armor to protect them from injuring their nervous system. All right, so here's the chance for you to show what you know, or kind of if you're on track. I want you to write this down. Based on what you've learned so far, are humans vertebrates or invertebrates? Explain your thinking. So I want you to pause the video, write down in a complete sentence, are humans vertebrates or invertebrates? Here's a picture of a human skeleton if you're a little confused about looking for that important feature that tells you if something's vertebrate or invertebrates. Once you're done, keep on going to the lesson. Welcome back. All right, looking at this picture of this chicken, is this animal a vertebrate, invertebrate, or neither? Once again, on your paper, write down, is this chicken a vertebrate, invertebrate, or neither? I hope that you can see the key thing we're looking for, the backbone, which makes it a vertebrate. We also know that birds are automatically vertebrates. All right, so let's expand our thinking. Why are invertebrates usually pretty small? In general, invertebrates are usually much smaller than vertebrates. Like think about bugs, starfish, worms, those kind of things. Why might this be? I want you to talk to your brother, your sister, your dog, your toy. What ideas might you have about why invertebrates are usually really small? Good thinking. I like it. They're actually usually pretty small because they have little or no skeleton. So if their bodies became too large and heavy, they could actually crush their insides. So since there's no really skeleton to hold up or protect the insides, if they got really big, they could actually crush the weight, could crush the insides, which would kill them. There are some exceptions, however, like this colossal squid. It doesn't have a backbone, so it's still an invertebrate, but it can grow to be 39 to 50 feet long. That's really long. It's bigger than our classroom. It would be really scary to see that in the ocean. So it's an invertebrate, but it still grew really big. But usually, most invertebrates are small because if they were huge, their body weight would crush their insides, killing them. All right, it's time for your exit ticket. Remember, we were talking about vertebrates and invertebrates. You're supposed to be able to tell me what is a vertebrate and what's the difference between vertebrates and invertebrates. I think you probably can do that. If you haven't yet, get your paper. Question number 1 says, invertebrates have no blank. So A is brain, B is feet, C is backbone, or D is spinal cord. Invertebrates have no brain, feet, backbone, or spinal cord. Write down the answer that you choose. Number 2, an example of a vertebrate is A, snail, B, spider, C, colossal squid, D, lion. Think about our groups of vertebrates. Which one of these is a vertebrate? Snail, spider, colossal squid, or lion? Write down your answer. Whoops. Which is not a category of vertebrates? So we talked about the 5 categories, which is not a category of vertebrate. Mammals, amphibians, bugs, or birds. Which one is not vertebrate? Mammals, amphibians, bugs, birds. Write down your answer. And the last question, the difference between vertebrates and invertebrates is vertebrates have backbones and invertebrates don't. Vertebrates have teeth and invertebrates don't. Invertebrates have backbones and vertebrates don't. Again, the difference between vertebrates and invertebrates is vertebrates have backbones and invertebrates don't. Vertebrates have teeth and invertebrates don't. Invertebrates have backbones and vertebrates don't. That's a lot to say. Write down your answer. Once you're finished, please put your name on your paper and put it in the envelope to send back to me so I can check your work. Otherwise, you can do it on Nearpod, of course. Like always, you're welcome to go over this video as many times as you need to. Just skipping ahead to the parts that maybe were still tricky. And also, please reach out with any questions to either me, Miss Perkins, or Miss Hutchins. We still really want to help you. We believe in you. We think you guys are awesome and can do really hard things. We miss you. Talk to you later. Bye.